All right, so the Thanksgiving holiday is right around the corner, and usually the Friday after Thanksgiving is uh, commonly referred to as Black Friday, but this year being referred to as Bad Friday, thanks to um, thanks to the Mainframe Comic Con, who uh, we've talked to people who've are working with them before, like John Centris and Ryland Grant. They're doing a special, I guess you would call it a live like convention panel. So I have Chuck Lindsey on here with me to talk about it and tell us more about it.
Chad, thanks for having me, man. I love your show.
How's it going?
It's going great. Great. Thank you so much for having us on and talking about our Bat Friday event.
I love your setup.
Thanks.
It's better than the back room.
It's just a big, colorful boy cave. That sounded dirtier than I intended.
Well, moving on. So, before we get into talking about Bad Friday, do you remember maybe the first comic that you picked up, or maybe the one that kind of, caught your interest?
I really got into comics back in the 90s with the X-Men. The X-Men stuff. Like a lot of people, a friend of mine was into it. I got turned on to comics from a friend. And that was right about the time that the X-Men cartoon was going on. And so my friend Dave had just all the X-Men comics from that Jim Lee run of the series. And that's when I got into it, and then that just turned me on to the whole scene. Kind of fell out of it for a little bit, I loved it when I was younger, sort of fell out of it, in my later teens and early 20s. And then I moved to Chicago, and I moved like right next door to Chicago Comics here up in Wrigleyville, and just started popping back in there, and that just ignited my passion for it all over again.
Very nice. So, well, before we get started about talking about the event, tell me a little bit about Mainframe Comics in their Comic Con, because I know that, like I said in my introduction, John Centris and Ryland Grant have been involved with you guys, and they've both of them have talked really highly about you guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, big shout out to John Centris and Ryland Grant. They have been just pivotal in making Mainframe grow to what it's kind of become. But it started out, I mean, during the COVID thing. Myself and my friend Chad Ramsden, who was a big YouTuber and stuff, we spent a lot of our time going to virtual physical comic book conventions. We worked really closely with the people at C2E2 and at ReadPop. They would give us booth space and stuff to conduct interviews and do convention coverage. And then we were all saying, man, 2020 was supposed to be great. We were all set up.
I remember real conventions.
Yeah, like 2020 started phenomenally. We did C2E2, and it was great. We had a booth. We had all these great interviews. We were lined up they were flying us out to Boston to do a con. They were flying us out to Orlando to do a con, and then COVID. And then that all got squashed. And so my friend Chad and I were like, you know what? We know the con scene. We know we got the contacts with the guests and stuff. We YouTube regularly. We know how to do live video chats and stuff like that. So why don't we just take what we know from live broadcasting and conventions and put something on virtually? And so the first Mainframe Comic Con happened. It was a ridiculous success. Nobody said no. I mean, we were just throwing the flag at everybody. We had David Harbour from Stranger Things was on. We had Clark Gregg from the Avengers. We had Kevin Smith. We had a reunion of Kids in the Hall and Mad TV and Clerks. It just went off gangbusters. Nobody said no. It was for the Hero Initiative, so it was a charitable thing. And since then, it's just grown and grown and grown. We've met up with people like John Centris and people like Ryland Grant who have brought in their acumen and their know-how and their contacts. And so it's become more and more comic book based, not as much about entertainment guests. We've recently partnered with Baltimore Comic Con. We put on their event, which was phenomenal. I was
just getting ready to ask that. Yeah.
It just keeps growing. We put on 3 Mainframe events, one event for Baltimore Comic Con, and we're about to launch our Black Friday event with the people at DC. They saw what we did at Baltimore, and they're like, well, hell, we got some great... We'll get into the Bad Friday thing in just a second, but I mean, it just keeps growing. What started out as just one long stream turned into like 8 streams over 4 days and 6 different panel halls, all simulcasting at the exact same time. It's just gotten massive. All we're missing is the con funk.
Well, I think Confunk would take on a new level,
Yep.
this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I was noticing that you guys were very involved since the major Comic Cons were kind of transitioning on, maybe for this year, probably for next year, to online, doing things online, and in a way opening it up for everybody to participate.
Yeah, I mean, not to toot our own horn, but I mean, Mainframe was really the first big virtual comic book convention. We were before New York Comic Con, we were before San Diego Comic Con at home, we were before all these virtual conventions just started popping up all over the place, and now we're just trying to stay one step ahead of everybody else because they are becoming the virtual Comic Con fatigue is maybe starting to set in for everybody as we get closer to the new year.
Yeah.
But we just keep trucking along, just keep churning them out as long as people will watch.
Well, I know that I caught some of the stuff you did for Baltimore Con, and that was great, and I'm glad that you were able, you came on and talked to us about Bad Friday.
Yeah, it's a weird title. Because is it Black Bat Friday? Is it Bat Black Friday? It was gonna be Black Label Friday because the folks at DC, we were
Yeah.
gonna use it to really push their Black Label events or their Black Label comics
Love
across
the
the
Black
board.
Label.
I know, and the people at DC they loved it. They were all about it. But being a corporation that it is, they were like, okay, if we're gonna put the Black Label logo on it, and it's gonna be an official DC event, it's gonna take a couple months to go through legal. They're like, we want to do it, but we only have about 3 weeks, so we can't legally call it Black Label Friday. So we were like, let's just call it Black Friday. We'll scratch out the word bat or black. We'll put in bat, and bam, and the logo just kind of works. It's just hard to say what it is. It's like Black Friday, just Black Friday.
Well, and it's one night only, Friday, and I'm just looking at the list of guests that you guys have scheduled, and that's a very impressive list. Tom King, Mitch Gerads, Josh Williamson, Tim Seeley, Kelly Jones, Mike Norton.
Yeah,
Frank
I mean, we got David Finch, Clay Mann. Really, I mean, the seed that kind of sprouted this entire event was the launch of the new Batman Catwoman. Because that actually comes out the week of, or like the week after Thanksgiving, the week after Black Friday. Yeah. So that's Clay Mann and Tom King. And with Tom King, you almost definitely get, Mitch Gerads. Jason Fabok was like, yeah, it's absolutely, I want to do this thing. And then it just kind of snowballed. All these DC creators started telling their friends, and they wanted to jump on. So it started out, it was just really going to be like one panel, maybe 2 panels. Just let's do a Batman Catwoman panel. And then it just sort of snowballed. It's like, well, let's talk about, because there's a lot going on at DC right now. Usually this is sort of the slow time in comic books. All the big events are usually in the summertime, and then things slow down around the winter. But DC still has the Batman Catwoman thing coming out this year, and they also have their new black and white 6-issue, I believe it's a 6-issue kind of anthology creator short story kind of book coming out, and that's coming out in December. So they got a lot of stuff still coming out before the year's out.
Oh, definitely. I'm sorry, did you say black and white? Because I love the original black and white.
Yeah, they're relaunching the Batman Black and White in December with all new creators, all new stories, and we're going to do a panel specifically about that. So we got a lot of the new black and white creators going to be on that panel.
Those are some of my favorite short stories, and that's the perfect character for Batman is black and white.
Yeah, well, one of the pretty much the person who created the whole Batman Black and White thing is Jill Thompson, the artist Jill Thompson. It was announced back when what I forget what book it was, but she just signed on to our event this morning. So she's like, "Oh, I see you're doing a black and white thing. I'd love to be a part of it." I was like, "Well, yeah, you kind of birthed the whole black and white thing. Of course, you can come on and be a part of it. It's going to be a fun panel. Make a great panel even better."
Yeah. So you kind of talked that people just kind of jumped on, but did you search? Try to did you actively seek anybody out?
We started off, like I said, it was really just going to be a Batman Catwoman thing with Clay Mann and Tom King. But then one of the companies that we're partnering with is Comic Sketch Art, and they rep a lot of big names, people like David Finch and stuff like that. So once they found out what we were doing, they brought on a lot of their people, and John Suntress, who you talked about earlier, knows everybody in the business. So like you put John Suntress in the driver's seat, he'll get you about 15 creators in a day. So he was very pivotal in growing the thing, bringing more people on. So he's sort of heading up a lot of the con or the panel situation. He's moderating a lot of the panels. He's booking a lot of the guests, pretty much all the guests that we didn't have initially booked. And so he's driving the boat on that one. He's doing a phenomenal job. But yeah, once we got Finch, we really tried to get Scott Snyder really wanted to do it. But being that it's the day after Thanksgiving, a lot of creators were like, I want to do it, but I can't do it. I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be with family. So if it weren't on a holiday weekend, this thing would have been even bigger than it already is. You know, we would have had some even crazier names.
So when do things kick off, I guess is the question.
The live event some kicks off at 7:00 on Black Friday. So this coming Friday, November 27th, 7:00 Eastern is when the live event kicks on. It's going to go on all the way through midnight. But earlier in the day, we've got a ton of pre-recorded stuff, because again, some of the people, they wanted to be a part of it, but because it was a holiday thing, they wanted to pre-record some panels. So we'll have about 3 or 4 hours of pre-recorded panels before the live event kicks off at 7:00 Eastern. And that kicks off with sort of a pre-show. We've got recorded appearances by Jeff Johns and Alex Ross, and all those people are going to come on. And then it's just going to be live. And when we say live, we mean completely live in real time. There's going to be audience Q&A. Yeah. You might have heard of these guys. So yeah, I mean, there's all the panels are starting at 7 all the way through midnight. They're going to be totally live. We're going to be taking audience questions. It's just going to be, and the later it gets, the more people start drinking, and we just start. We're rounding out the night actually with. It's not really a drink and draw, because there's not going to be any drawing, but it's just going to be it's called Hanging in the Batcave. It's just going to be all these Batman creators just popping in, chit chatting, hanging out, drinking, talking about, you know, the history of Batman and making Batman and the future of Batman. We got James Tynion the Fourth coming on to talk about his plans for Batman in 2021. We got Jock, who's talking about, you know, the art of the bat. We've got one of my favorite people in the world, Amy Dallen. I don't know if you know her. She was one of the hosts of Collider Heroes with John Schnepp and stuff over at the Collider channel. She's got a massive Twitch presence. She does the DC Daily Show on YouTube. She's going to come on and she's hosting the panel with David Finch and Jason Fabok, just talking about the art of the bat. So definitely tune in for that one, because Amy's an absolute joy. And
I'm wearing the correct shirt for the interview. So
right, I'm not. I'm wearing my Loki shirt for some reason. I'm totally cross promoting.
So you know, do you remember the first Batman story that you read?
I'm wearing the Loki shirt. I'm really more of a Marvel guy. I gotta say, I was very much into the Batman animated series, of course, when I was younger. But I mean, I was just always diehard Marvel, X-Men. So I don't really remember my first Batman story. The stuff that I got into DC was more like Justice League stuff. You know, anything with like Darkseid in it and stuff like that. But no, not really. I'm not the biggest Batman guy. You know, as far as Batman, I'm more of a movie and cartoon dude.
Oh, that's perfectly okay.
I'm playing in the DC sandbox on this event, but you know.
Oh, well, as a collector and reader who came in, really got started collecting and reading Batman comics in the 90s with the Nightfall series, then you know there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Oh, there certainly is. You know, I mean, shit, everything. Frank Miller. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's all pure gold.
And I was kind of excited to see that Kelly Jones is going to be involved with your with the on a panel. I assume he drew some. I enjoy his comics that he drew for that series with, you know, the Batman with the exaggerated ears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just talked with J.H. Williams the other day and did a pre-recorded thing, and he talked a lot about working with Kelly and stuff like that. Yeah, he's going to be on the black and white panel, so he's going to be one of those people. That's going to be a really fun panel. We got Tim Seeley, we got Joel Thompson. That's one where we got Josh Williamson. I think your mic just cut out. I think we lost your microphone, sir. This is fun. Somebody's mic cut out. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Your mic's muted, my friend. you got. There it is.
Sorry. Hey, live. Hey.
It happens. It happens.
My phone is ringing, so it's probably somebody checking about my extended car warranty.
Yeah. Oh, it's a robocall about some legal advice, or we noticed you haven't paid your light bill. It's like, come on. This call's coming in from Japan. This is not legit. I am not pressing 1.
So is there one creator that you're most looking forward to hearing or talking to, or that you've talked to already?
I mean, it's always a pleasure talking to Tom King and Mitch Gerads, because they are just their chemistry between the two of them are awesome. They're so funny. Tom King is he's a great guy, but he's also really down to earth, takes himself serious. It doesn't take himself too seriously. And Mitch is just a ham. So having them on with Clay Mann talking about the new Batman Catwoman is just probably going to be the highlight of the entire evening for me. But the Batman hangout is going to be a blast. And again, the art of the Batcave with David Finch and Jason Fabok, moderated by Amy Dallen. That one's going to be great. But it's all I could sit around and watch, Tom King and Mitch talk for hours.
Well, my Tom King story goes back to Baltimore Con 2015, because we have some friends in common, and we were across the street from the convention center at the pub, and he bought us all nachos. So we called those. That was when he was writing Grayson, so we figured that those were paid with his Grayson dollars.
There you go. Grayson bucks. I know that pub. I've been to that pub several times.
It's a great little place. I miss it.
Yeah, Baltimore Comic Con's just a killer con. It's like the show floor wise, it's not as big as things like C2E2, but it's just all comics. It is the comic book convention for comic book fans through and through.
Right, and I agree. And I've been to New York Comic Con also, and you have your artist alley, which is a lot of the comic book people, and then you have the main floor, which is everything else.
Yeah.
But Baltimore Con, as you said, is it's pure comics.
Yeah. Problem with New York is that, for those of you who haven't been to the Javits Center, it's way too small.
It's in New York.
Yeah, the Javits. Well, it's just like it's way too small for the number of people they got coming in, and they didn't quite figure out how to funnel people into the door. But then once you get there, the whole con floor is over here in the main. But if you want to go to Artist Alley, you got to walk, half a mile down a corridor to get over to the Artist Alley area. At least that's the way it was when I went.
Oh, trust me, I know if you're especially if you're have schedules where you're supposed to have interview with creators on one side of the convention center at one time, and then half an hour later you have to get to the other side for another one.
Oh man, the time we went, not to go off on a tangent, but they had half the panels at Madison Square Garden, so you literally had to, if you could check out a panel, you got a photo op in the Javits Center here, and then in 30 minutes you got to run over to the Madison Square Garden, which is not close. And then double back to get a book signed is just quite an ordeal.
It's an experience.
Something else I want to make sure people know about is, if you go to our website, it's not just the live panels. We've also all the creators that are appearing, or at least the vast majority of them, are also selling signed exclusive merchandise. We've got like Jason Fabok, for example. He's selling signed prints of his 3 Jokers. Mitch Gerads got signed stuff. We got stuff from David Finch, CGC Grading, all that stuff. There's just tons and tons of signed stuff you can get, CGC Graded stuff, comic books. You can even mail in your own comic books for autographing and CGC Grading as well. So that's all on the website. So if you're a collector, because there's not a lot of cons going on right now, there's no cons going on right now. This might be one of your best ways to get, a book signed. So something to consider.
So I know you mentioned that you weren't much of a DC person, and most of your Batman experience, was through the cartoon. But is there, a particular storyline that maybe you have read in the comics that you've enjoyed?
For Batman?
Yes.
I mean, Dark Knight Returns is phenomenal. I love all the stuff that came out. I mean, I'm really partial to a lot of the Joker stuff. Obviously, Killing Joke and just Joker. Great, great, great stuff. Even though Batman doesn't appear until like the very, very end of those books, but stuff like that.
All right. Would you like to give kind of like a final pitch and where people can find you, on the internet or social media?
Absolutely. Head on over to mainframecomiccon.com. It'll take you right to this page that you see right here on your screen, and from there, that's where you can enjoy all the action. All the panels are going to be taking place right here on this page. So just go to mainframecomiccon.com, scroll on down, you click on a panel you like, and the video player just pops right up. So, and if you want to buy something, there's buttons all over the place to purchase stuff. So just head on over to mainframecomiccon.com and have fun. It's Friday, this Friday. It's going on all day, and the live stuff kicks off at 7 o'clock Eastern. So don't miss it, man. Head on over. Day after Thanksgiving. Everybody's might have the day off.
Well, I want to definitely. I think I'm going to check it out because I love Batman, and I definitely want to thank you for taking the time this afternoon to chat. And best of luck with the event. And if you have anything in the future, let me know, and I'd be glad to help you guys promote that too.
Awesome. Chad, thank you so much for having me on here midday. I really, really appreciate you giving us a little bit of a platform to talk about the new Bat Black Friday coming up this weekend.
Well, stay safe, stay healthy, and maybe one day we'll meet up at Baltimore Con.
We'll go to the pub. I'll buy you some nachos.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. See you later.
Okay, bye.